The lights, the yacht, the private Beverly Hills ceremony. It looked, for a shining moment, like this perfect fairy tale merger.
You know, Hollywood royalty meets youthful, vibrant ambition.
Exactly. We're talking about the marriage of music mogul David Geffen, who was 82, and the dancer and actor Donovan Michaels, 32.
But, you know, behind the reported $9.1 billion fortune and that staggering 50-year age gap, a very expensive clock was already ticking.
And in less than 2 years, the cameras flashed again. The music stopped, and then the headline just screamed it.
Geffen final goodbye. How billionaire marriage crashed in 2 years.
Welcome to Starscope Report.
We dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
Join us as we uncover the deepest Hollywood drama, the biggest music industry shakeups, and the viral scandals that shape culture.
And today we are doing a deep dive into this explosive divorce.
Because this isn't just celebrity gossip, this is a legal showdown.
Oh, absolutely. It highlights the catastrophic cost of skipping just one crucial piece of paperwork. This case is already being studied in law schools.
I believe it.
It's a monumental cautionary tale.
And before we get into all the dry legal details, we have to address the sensational core of this story.
Okay.
We're going to detail that shocking initial meeting. It was an encounter that allegedly began on a sugar daddy website.
Like a $10,000 payment.
That level of detail is exactly what Geffen's legal team tried so desperately to prevent.
And we'll explain how the lack of a prenup just opened the door to all of it.
So let's start with the headline that sent tremors through the legal world.
The $9.1 billion divorce. A legendary mogul's fatal flaw.
I mean, when you talk about David Geffen, you're talking about someone who literally shaped modern entertainment.
Absolutely. This is the co-founder of Asylum Records, Geffen Records.
The Eagles, Guns N' Roses.
Right, and he co-founded DreamWorks. His net worth is consistently pegged somewhere between $8.8 and $9.1 billion.
And his assets are they're the stuff of legends.
I mean, a reported $2.3 billion art collection. We're talking Jackson Pollock, David Hockney.
And, of course, the infamous $600 million super yacht, the Rising Sun.
You're looking at a legacy of assets built over 5 decades.
So, okay, let's get the timeline straight.
Wow.
Geffen and Michaels met around 2020.
Right. They married privately in Beverly Hills. That was March 2023. Then Geffen filed for divorce in May of 2025.
Listing the separation date in February 2025. So the marriage lasted
just 23 months.
And here's the core issue, the thing legal analysts can't stop discussing.
For a man with a team of top-tier lawyers,
Right.
The couple did not execute a prenuptial agreement.
It's universally described as an extraordinary lapse.
And you have to ask yourself why. I mean, here's a guy who successfully navigated the music industry, Hollywood, for half a century. Always protecting his assets, always in control.
Yeah.
To leave this massive empire exposed to litigation over a 2-year marriage is just, it's perplexing.
Exactly. I mean, surely someone at his level has dozens of lawyers whose sole job is risk mitigation.
You'd think so.
Was it trust? Was it, fear of souring the romance? It feels like the emotional desire for this relationship to be seen as organic rather than transactional.
Ultimately cost him his privacy. That's often the case. People mistake legal protection for a lack of trust.
But in California, where they married, we operate under community property laws.
And this is so crucial for you to understand. Because the marriage was so short and because Geffen retired, 15 years ago?
Right.
The vast majority of that $9.1 billion fortune, the art, the music royalties, the DreamWorks sale money, it was all acquired before the marriage.
So it's separate property.
Exactly.
So that $9.1 billion number is actually kind of misleading the divorce context, right?
Precisely. Michaels is legally entitled only to half of the assets or income accumulated during the brief 23 months of marriage.
Plus limited spousal support.
Right. For a marriage lasting less than 10 years, California law typically caps spousal support at half the duration of the marriage.
So that's what? About 1 year of support for Michaels?
About a year.
And that standard short marriage, very limited divorce payout was clearly not enough for Michaels.
No.
Which immediately drove the escalation into a much, much more public and damaging legal fight.
Which is the immediate consequence of skipping that documentation by avoiding a private legal contract.
They paved the way for a spectacularly public battle.
And that public battle is where all the allegations surfaced.
And if you're loving these Hollywood twists and these high-stakes legal breakdowns, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead as we detail the allegations Michaels leveled against Geffen.
Yeah, the gloves really came off, and the shocking allegations started to surface with this headline: seeking arrangement, cosmetic control, and the $10,000 first night.
So in July 2025, Michaels filed a separate civil lawsuit,
Not part of the divorce, a separate
the
lawsuit.
breach of express oral contract. And this was a direct strategic move to get around those strict California short marriage limits we just talked about.
Absolutely. This lawsuit attempts to leverage a legal precedent known as Marvin v. Marvin.
Okay, break that down for people who might not know.
So, the Marvin ruling allows unmarried or short-term partners to claim assets based on an implied or even an express oral agreement of support.
Even if they aren't legally entitled to community property.
Exactly.
So if Michaels can prove Geffen made an express oral promise to provide lifelong financial support and share all assets equally, that oral contract could potentially supersede the state's short marriage rules.
That's the whole play. It attempts to reframe the relationship from a 2-year marriage to a 5-year cohabitation agreement backed by a verbal commitment.
And to bolster that claim, the complaint detailed a relationship marked by a severe, dark power dynamic and exploitation.
And the details were just sensational.
Claiming the relationship started on seekingarrangements.com and that Geffen paid Michaels $10,000 for sex on the very first night.
Which, that transactional beginning certainly complicates any claim that this was a purely romantic, mutually supportive partnership.
It creates a huge credibility challenge for that Marvin claim. You have to wonder if the relationship started transactionally on a dating site.
Doesn't that inherently make the promise of lifelong support less credible in court? It looks more like patronage than a partnership.
That's the argument Geffen's team is making.
Yeah.
But the allegations of control they're deeply concerning, regardless of the legal outcome.
Yeah.
Michaels claimed Geffen required him to undergo painful cosmetic and dental treatments. He said he was treated like, and these are his words, a trophy or a living social experiment.
Just intolerant of minor physical imperfections. He also alleged being pressured into drug use to keep up with that high-profile lifestyle.
And that he gave up his independent modeling and dancing career, relying entirely on Geffen's promise of support.
Then, after the separation, Michaels claims Geffen evicted him and cut off financial support completely.
This becomes a devastating PR nightmare.
Oh, it's brutal.
I mean, Geffen has spent decades cultivating this image as a highly influential, yet highly philanthropic, elder statesman. These lurid allegations of grooming and exploitation.
They completely challenge that meticulously built brand capital. It demonstrates the true price of not having a prenup.
Right. A confidentiality clause in a prenup would have ensured these deeply personal, damaging allegations,
Yep.
whether they're true or false, would have never seen the light of day.
But Geffen's legal team, including the formidable Laura Wasser,
The best.
they fought back aggressively, denied any contract, called the lawsuit false and pathetic, and they counter-alleged that Michaels was a reckless spender who engaged in extensive drug use and multiple extramarital affairs.
It's just mudslinging at that point.
Total war.
The good news is Michaels filed to drop the civil lawsuit in October 2025. So he avoided a protracted, humiliating public trial.
And this is a huge but. He did so without prejudice.
Meaning he reserves the right to refile it later if the financial settlement doesn't meet his demands.
The financial war is far from over.
So we've established the emotional and legal wreckage, but now we have to face the hard math.
Right.
With the marriage status about to be finalized, where does the financial war zone shift next? I mean, is he still paying Michaels' rent?
He is, believe it or not. Even amid this contentious war, Geffen has shown some ongoing financial generosity. Since the separation, he's already paid approximately $200,000 in cash and rehab expenses.
And he continues covering Michaels' $15,000 monthly rent for an apartment in Manhattan.
And let's not forget the physical assets. Michaels acquired about $5 million worth of jewelry, artwork, and watches during the marriage.
Oh.
And Geffen's team formally proposed spousal support of up to $50,000 a month, but only for that 1 year we discussed, sticking to that short marriage limit.
But the core fight has shifted to asset disclosure.
Yes. Recent court filings accuse Geffen of concealing income and assets. Geffen listed NA for monthly income and investments in his initial financial declaration.
Which is a classic legal tactic.
Wait, hold on. Listing NA for the income of a billionaire who owns one of the world's most valuable art collections. That sounds like grounds for an immediate sanction.
It's a deliberate legal maneuver. By listing minimal income, Geffen tries to portray himself as a modest retiree.
Ah, I see.
It forces Michaels' team to fight for a percentage of the asset value, rather than focusing on a huge spousal support payout based on monthly cash flow.
Because spousal support is typically based on monthly earnings, not just the underlying wealth. So minimizing that number is critical to his defense.
And this is where forensic accounting becomes a massive, massive expense.
Of course, Michaels' team is rightfully demanding disclosure on all trusts and properties, requiring an exhaustive financial deep dive.
Just think about the complexity. I mean, how do you value a $2.3 billion collection of fine art?
It's non-liquid, it's often held in trusts, its valuation fluctuates wildly. You need teams of forensic accountants, specialized appraisers.
Just to establish the current value of the collection, or to figure out if any new value accrued during those 23 months.
That level of valuation alone could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So the cost of litigation just soars. Experts estimate that complex, high-net-worth cases without prenups can exceed $1 million just in legal fees.
And Geffen's refusal to provide complete disclosure risks severe penalties in California, including a 20% surcharge on any assets found to have been intentionally hidden.
It's the ultimate self-inflicted wound.
It really is. The cost of avoiding that one awkward conversation about a prenup is millions in legal bills, ongoing monthly payments, and catastrophic damage to your private life and public image.
If there had been a detailed prenup, all these financial matters would have been settled.
Yeah.
Privately, quickly.
With pre-agreed valuations.
Yeah.
Done.
We do have one small piece of finality, though.
There.
A judge ruled on November 18th that the marriage will be legally terminated on Monday, November 24th.
So they will be declared legally single. But that's just the termination of the marital status. Those critical financial issues, property division, the final spousal support package, attorney fees, all of that will be determined at a later and likely very contentious date.
So this story is far from closed.
Not at all.
This case is the most expensive masterclass in documentation failure we've seen in Hollywood this decade. I mean, whether you have $9 billion or $9,000 in assets.
Documentation is key.
It just proves that trust and, emotional assumptions are no match for hard legal documents.
David Geffen is known for co-founding DreamWorks and housing one of the world's most impressive art collections. But as his divorce case grinds through the courts, the question remains.
When you have spent decades building a legacy of power and philanthropy, what is the ultimate price of privacy? And can even a billionaire truly afford to leave that price undetermined?
Something for you to mull over.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.